for 15 years. Their cutting-edge approaches help you to wipe away unwanted information in your search results. They also promote the good stuff so that it rises to the top, helping you put your best foot forward. Your good name is too valuable to leave to the whims of a Google algorithm. Take control with Reputation Defender. You can start by getting your free reputation report card at reputationdefender.com or call 800-401-6681 to speak to an expert. That's 800-401-6681.
Is this what you hear when you call your shop? Hi, this is Matthew Carlson, owner of Fix It Forward Auto Care. We know you've got places to go, things to do, and people to see. That's why Fix It Forward promises to get your vehicle in quickly, your repairs done properly, and you safely back out on the road. Our speed of service is the service that you deserve. Fix It Forward Auto Care, the name you trust for car repair.
Fix It Forward Auto Care.
This is Weather and Ag in Focus with Bridgette Readel, Justin Storm, and Dean Wysocki.
Oh my God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm.
What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm!
Wait.
Everybody calm down!
Welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus. Thanks for joining us on this Wednesday afternoon. It's 106 right now. Temperatures outside 69 degrees, and we got a full check on that forecast coming up here in just a moment. I'm with Dean Wysocki, Chief Meteorologist, and Ag Director Bridgette Readel, and how are you guys doing today? Welcome back. Welcome me back, actually. That's what you should be doing.
That's right. It's just about you right now, Justin. You are finally back in studio. It's good to see you. And I'm not.
Glad to be back. Dean, how are you doing?
Better when you're gone.
That's not very nice.
Yeah,
you guys got this. I got other things to go do anyways.
Nice.
Oh, man. Hey, Bridgette, guess who we ran into out in the parking lot?
Me.
Hold on.
One of your favorite people.
John, Chemtrail Tuesdays.
John Chemtrail Tuesday was in the parking lot.
Yeah, he was dropping off an AC unit actually working.
Nice.
I went up to him. I said, I didn't know you actually had a real job. But yeah, I guess he does. You know, so surprise.
Fun thing today for me, I have a Twitter friend, or I guess it's called X now, but I have a friend here from Iowa. She is not involved in ag, but wants to know more about it. And so we have been spending the day touristing the Red River Valley of North Dakota. She's never been up here before. And we spent a good chunk of our morning in a sugar beet field. Folks are getting ready for full haul. Sounds like they're going to hold that off until probably October 4th. So the weather cools off just a little bit. But we spent time looking at a lifter, a topper. They're pulling the trucks through the field because that 2 inches of rainfall we had over the weekend makes it a little tougher to pull those heavy weighted trucks out of the fields. Mm-hmm. So it's been a fun morning.
Hey, you know what the best thing about the whole switch from Twitter to X is?
What?
It's everyone trying to explain to their significant other what their X premium charge on their bank statement is for $6.99.
That and so every Friday I host a Twitter live spaces. It's a Twitter chat.
Hashtag Tillage
My Twitter
Tuesday.
chat. Yeah, that was yesterday. But my Twitter chat on Fridays is called the Nooner Chat, and now I have the Nooner Chat on X.
Oh boy. I bet you get a lot of interesting conversations on that.
Well, as of last Friday, actually, I had a couple of farmers on. One was a repeat of someone we had on air before. That was Will Beer. He farms in Missouri, and he raises popcorn and a variety of other crops on some river bottom land. And then a fellow from down by Beardsford, South Dakota. And let's just say, you're going to have to go to Twitter because there were some quotes and some things that were said that I was not expecting. And they really stem from kind of the craziness of the 80s and into the 90s. And I don't even know if I can say what some of the quotes were, but
if any of their emojis are upside down pineapples, take them off your take them off your Twitter.
No, that
Any peaches?
Nothing like that. But let's just say there was a lot of discussion of some sniffing that what might have happened in those years.
Oh my God!
Yes. So
the people on Twitter, they're like, I don't care.
Just gonna send it.
Yeah. There's there's no way to stop it. There was a lot of stuff. But oh well, that was last week.
Live and learn.
Now we're into this week. The 80s were wild, guys. I don't care if you were in farming or anything else. The 80s were wild.
They were more than wild. You got the can of hairspray to get your hair all going, and you got the long hair, and you got the spandex, and
I realize that people are very worried about climate control, but due to all the Aquanet in the 80s, there was a hole in the ozone layer somewhere with my name on it. That was all me. I did that.
Oh, man.
Well, what do we say? We got a few fun things coming up on the show today. Our guest, Calli Thorne, she's a rural mental health advocate and cattle rancher. We'll be speaking with her at the 120 segment. And a couple of ag topics that, of course, we'll get to today. We're going to be hinting on our combining process for our Here We Grow soybeans. Not quite there, but we'll let you know where we're at and what we're all prepping up to get ready to go. We got the highest horsepower Steiger release. It'll be very interesting to touch on that one because I'm a big Steiger fan. A lot of Steiger fans out there, and if you want to join in during that conversation, really any point during the show, if you have a question or just want to hit that conversation button, give us a call, 701-293-9000. That's the Red Wing Shoes phone line. Again, 701-293-9000. Email inboxes, that's weather or ag at flagfamily.com, and our live chat boxes on Facebook and YouTube Live as well. So that'll be one of them. And our third topic that we'll get to today is the John Deere Property Center. We'll be hitting on that one as well. But before we get to any of those, I think we need to know what the weather's going to be like out there for the next couple days.
We've got a lot of clouds around today, and they're going to hang tight, and we'll see temperatures rise up a few more degrees. We're in the upper 60s to right around 70. We'll hit the lower 70s today with those winds out of the southeast at about 10 to 20. Partly cloudy tonight, mid-50s, and clouds will start to thicken up late in the day on Thursday. It's going to be windy with highs in the mid to upper 70s, and then rain comes in Thursday night into the first part of the day on Friday. Highs only around 70 on Friday. About a quarter inch of rain possible out of those showers on Friday. And then the weekend looks pretty darn nice. We want some cooler weather for sugar beets out there, but we're looking at temperatures in the 80s for Saturday and Sunday. So it's going to be a nice...
That'll shut us down.
Yeah, it's going to be a nice warm weekend.
We like those warm temperatures, especially as we start turning the page to October.
That is October 1st on Sunday, and that first week in October looks pretty warm with temperatures in the 70s. And
So that really is... That's a real thing, right? If it gets too warm, you guys, we can't harvest our sugar beets because they're too warm. They bring too much heat into the piles.
If they sat an extra week, does that just add a little extra weight to them, or is that more of a hindrance?
It can add a little extra weight or a little more sugar content to them. So cool. I've got a Twitter friend riding with me today, and we were in that sugar beet field, and I broke open a beet, and she
sugar poured out.
Yeah, she's like, that tastes just like sugar. So yes, it does. It's nice and sweet.
You should bring one in for us, and we should eat it on air. Dean, you want to eat a raw beet?
I could bring one in.
Sure.
It's really good for your health.
I'm sure it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
I probably won't be in till one day next week, but I can bring a sugar beet with. That's no problem.
Let's do it. Let's try a sugar beet on air next week.
So we may need a slightly large knife or a hatchet to knock the thing open.
I'll bring my butcher's knife. Am I allowed to bring that to work?
Get this open.
We've got some in the kitchen.
Yeah, but are those suck.
Those are terrible knives. We can't use that.
Not sharp enough?
They're really bad.
Okay.
It's like using a credit card to cut something.
I'm not talking about the plastic cutlerware.
Yeah. The actual knife.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sucks.
It doesn't?
They're not good.
Yeah, I touched it. Nothing happened. Okay. Yeah.
So yes, good times.
We had an email that came in And the email from Debbie is a month or so ago. You guys were talking about the total number of foggy days that we had in August, and that would equal how many winter storms we would have. Did we ever come up with what that number was? And I think that's more of a superstition.
Yeah, it was. I believe it was right around.
Actual,
it was either 10 or 11. I think
it was something like that.
Yeah, it was right around there. So that means what? 10 or 11 storms.
10 or 11 winter storms over the course of let's just say. How long are winters here? 9 months?
Yeah.
4 or 5 months? Yeah, we'll wait and see what happens. Of course, we got our new LRC cycle that'll be starting up here in about 10 days or so?
Late next week.
Yeah,
right? Late next week is the 6th, 7th day. Yeah, about 10 days.
Yeah, I think it's the second week of, end of the first week of October is when, end of the first week of October. That's what it was. Right around the 6th or 7th. So it'll be very exciting to see what plays out. Watch how everything just kind of is starting to degrade now, and something brand new will be setting up.
Yeah, we'll start to see. We'll see what we start to see for that first part of October. Mm-hmm. So, depending on, that whole month of October ends up being dry, that's not a good start to the LRC cycle. We'll say that.
So, we just need the storm systems in the right spot.
Mm-hmm.
But it might be the way that the LRC says, this is how it is, people. I'll show you the way.
This is true. Honestly, hey, we're going to have a warm and dry winter and suck it up. But that will translate into a...
Suck it up. Everyone would probably enjoy a warm winter.
But then do you want a dry and drought-stricken spring and summer?
For me, personally, I have a hose and a spigot on my house. So I guess personally it doesn't really hit me the hardest, but...
It's all about you, isn't it?
It's always about me. How long have you known me, Dean?
Too long.
We've been together for like 3 years now. Can you believe it's been 3 years?
Feels like 10 years underwater.
God, I didn't have a gray hair when I started working with you. Now I do.
You have no hair.
I used to. It turned gray and fell out. Have you ever worked with yourself?
Why do you think I'm losing mine?
Nice. Really nice, guys.
All right. Program phone numbers again. That's the Red Wing Shoes phone line is 701-293-9000. Email inbox, weather or ag at flagfamily.com. Live streams, Acres TV, Facebook Live, YouTube Live. We got to hit the American Ag Network, but when we come back, we'll be joining with our guest here. And that guest that we're going to be talking to is Calli Thorne. Again, that's rural mental health advocate and cattle rancher. So if you have any questions for her, feel free to dial on up. We'll get you all queued up during the interview, and we'll give you an opportunity to ask those questions. And, of course, if you don't want to call, just shoot us an email. We'll hit the American Ag Network, and we'll be right back with that and so much more.
Livestock is mixed this afternoon for the American Ag Network. I'm Richard Rismet with this market update. The live cattle complex is still trading mostly lower and is again pressuring the bottom side of the market's current trading range. Now, it's not helping that some light cash cattle trade has already begun to develop this afternoon. Some southern trade was marked at 183, which is fully steady with last week's average. But this morning, some light trade, extremely few head, was noted in Nebraska at 290 to 291. That was $1 to $2 lower than last week's average. There still isn't a consensus as to where the week's cash cattle market is going to trade, but steady to weaker tones seem to be the early trend. Box beef prices are mixed. Choice up 88 and select down 56 with a movement of 89 loads. And with corn prices pushing a mild few cent rally, the feeder cattle complex continues to trade lower as the market comes up short of some much needed technical support. Feeder cattle and calf prices have been softer this past week in the countryside, with many sale barns noting farmers are still out in the field and not showing up as buyers yet. Now, the lean hog complex, that is trading higher as the market seems to find some footing technically speaking, as the spot December contract is trading sideways with last Friday's close. Based on pre-report estimates, it's likely tomorrow's hogs and pigs report will be favorable to the market, with tighter supplies hopefully correlating to stronger pork prices in the future. We'll get a look at the livestock numbers. You're listening to the American Ag Network.
You'd never settle for underperformance. You'd never settle for less than maximum yield. You'd never settle for gaps in the stand. So why settle for anything less than DeKalb corn? DeKalb seed is for those who make outstanding performance a priority, with a broad portfolio of products bred to maximize profit potential on every field. DeKalb brand corn. Never settle. Visit DeKalb.com. Read and follow pesticide label directions, grain marketing, and other stewardship practices.
When you're an expert on soil and crops, you're a soil scientist. When you're an expert on the weather, you're a meteorologist. And when you're an expert on soybeans, you are an Asgrow farmer. Like you, Asgrow brand is relentlessly focused on soybeans, with localized products featuring leading genetics and weed management systems. It all works together to give you maximum profit potential. Visit Asgrow.com. It's all about the beans. Read and follow pesticide label directions, grain marketing, and other stewardship practices.
The livestock numbers: live cattle October up 12 at 184.92, December down 25 at 188.22, February down 57 at 192.47, and the April live cattle, they're down 80 at 195.57. Feeders: September down 117 at 251.42, October down 150 at 252.37. Lean hogs October up 35 at 81.97, December up 32 at 72.67, and the February lean hogs, they're up 42 at 76.17, with crude oil trading up about $3 at just over $93 a barrel. For the American Ag Network, I'm Richard Ristvet.
This is Weather and Ag in Focus with Bridgette Readel, Justin Storm, and Dean Wysocki.
Oh, there are so many things to share when we get started with Weather and Ag in Focus, from thunderstorms and screaming goats to mooing barn doors. So glad to have y'all with us. And a big thank you to our Here We Grow sponsors. Two of them would include Dakota Bank and their Dakota Insurance. Dakota Bank has an independent insurance agency that can find the right coverage and the right carrier for you and what you need for your farm and otherwise. They are a new location here in Fargo. We welcome them to the community and glad they're a part of it. And additionally, North Dakota Estate Services. We talk about this a lot, making sure that those transition plans are in place. Average age of farmers in the United States are 56 years old, and there are less than 35% of U.S. farms have a transition plan to them. Maybe we should ask our guests that from now on, you guys. Do you have a plan? Do you know what's going to happen?
Right.
How's the next generation coming in? And if not, you can write us in. We'd be happy to be a part of your operation. So a big thank you to our guest today who's joining us to talk about her operation. That is Calli Thorne. Calli is joining us from Watford City, North Dakota. Calli, how are things out west today?
Good. It's a little breezy, but then again, maybe that's typical out here. I don't know. This is where I was born and raised, so we love it out here. We get used to it if you want to stay, right?
Something you gotta
So
do.
speaking of born and raised, tell us more. You're from the Watford City area, and how did you get to be to where you are today?
Yes, exactly. So I am actually technically fifth generation out here in McKenzie County, and we farm and ranch just north of Watford City. My husband and I, along with my parents, are just a few miles away. So is my brother and his wife. And this is where I've been my whole life. I'm fortunate to come back to the operation. My husband is from South Dakota. So I always say that doesn't always happen too often, where the husband transitions to the wife's place. But we came here right after college. I have a degree in animal science, went to school out in Fargo at NDSU. And things they've changed. We have the big oil boom going on out here and have for the past decade plus. So that has definitely changed things in our world, for the good and for the bad. There was a lot that came with it, of course, but we've always been cow-calf operation, and we realized we need some more enterprises, because if those markets aren't good, what do we pivot to then? And I think that's how we've worked our business a lot of times. So we run some yearlings, sell some beef, have a background in feedlot. And then, as you know, I do some mental health training, some keynote speaking, a lot of leadership related personal and professional development things with the John Maxwell team, actually.
All right. We got a lot of places to dive in and start here, Calli.
I know.
So let's start in with the ranch operation and so forth. And did you always know you were going to grow up and be a part of your operation, or was this maybe a little bit of a change once you got back from college?
Well, we laugh when I get asked that question, because I thought maybe eventually I would come back to it. But I'd applied for a job out in Washington, D.C. to go keep adventuring, keep traveling, which I love to do, see what we get tied into with some organizations, of course, in the ag industry. But my husband came out to Watford City before I did. I had a semester of college left. And so I figured, well, he's at my place. I guess I better head back to my place, which turned out okay. We had a very bad winter that winter, and I ended up feeding a lot of cattle while my dad had a snow removal business. And so I didn't have a job lined up right after college, but then I went into extension. I actually worked for NDSU for a handful of years and just kind of kept pivoting and going from there.
Okay. And so while doing all of that, I mean, talk about your operation a little bit. Did you say fifth generation on that farm?
Yeah, technically the
Nice.
fifth here in McKenzie County. We actually, I always tell the story that we live now in the house that was originally my grandma and grandpa's, and then I grew up in that house, and now we're inhabiting it, my kids and husband.
Well, they'll take more of you all the time. And in that time frame when you were in college and coming back to the farm, you mentioned the oil boom. Hmm. How did that change what you were doing on a day-to-day basis in your operation?
Yeah, I have to say, maybe I'm lucky or unlucky that we don't own any of the land right now, right? Parents still own it, talk about all this transition and estate planning and everything. They own it or we rent a lot of ours. And so you still deal with the pipeliners and everything. We were fortunate when we came back, when we graduated from college and moved back out here, a neighbor approached my dad and he said, I think I'm getting out of the business. Do you want my cows and pasture land to rent? And he said, no, but I know some kids that might. And so that has been an incredible opportunity that we have been blessed with, that we've upgraded so many pastures, put in water lines, cross fencing, and all of those things. So, you deal with the oil field companies there, but it has definitely changed things for a lot of operations around here. Like I said, the good and the bad. I mean, there are things that my family wouldn't have uh, compared to what we do now or what we did back then. But at the same time, it is a full-time job working with the oil field companies and trying to make things right.
And I hope it's always been positive. Would you say that's the case?
No. I feel like I have to go and bat for my mom and dad right now because of the time and effort. I mean, there's a lot of good ones, and you get to know them and have the contacts and stuff, but no, it definitely has not all been good or easy. There's been a lot of challenges. I mean, especially those first few years when it was just fast and furious. I mean, it was the Wild West out here, not in a bad way, but it was all so new. And you just think about how our community has changed. There used to be 1,800 people here when I grew up. And now this year they broke another record and there's over 2,000 kids in the school system. And so I am very much so a glass half full person. I mean, we have the Rough Rider, the event center out here where we're going to be hosting the North Dakota Stockmans later this week. And we have new
Yes.
hospitals and schools. And so I'm the one that I look for the good that came with it. Otherwise, it would be a long life living out here.
Gosh, no kidding. And all right, that change just in your community, going to 2,000 kids in the school system. I mean, that doesn't even begin to cover the people, the volume of people that you watch in your community of Watford City. What have you seen change, Callie?
I think a lot of just the dynamics in general, right? I take pride and I think Watford City has always been at the forefront of let's make things better, let's make them nice. What do we need to do for the community, the economy? And I think that's what helped get me to even where I am today, running my own businesses, whether it's the leadership stuff or it's the mental health or farm and ranch. These people poured into me when I was a kid growing up in this community. And so I would almost look at that's one of the things that stayed is how can we help these kids who are growing up here? How can we help the families make this a community that they want to be part of? And so now really it's just expanded that much more with the number of people that we have here in Watford City and in McKenzie County, just out here in Western North Dakota. So how do we connect them to the community so that instead of them coming here and thinking they're only going to be here for a couple months, we want to make this a place that even if it is only a couple of months, how do they enjoy their time here? And if they leave, they say, Watford City was great to me, or, hey, this place is awesome. I want to raise a family here.
I think that's a big part of the story. People are staying. They didn't just move in
Yes.
and want to transition into Watford City. You are growing a community. There's not a lot of places in the Dakotas that can say that you are watching more and more folks become a part of your localized area.
Yeah, if you guys didn't know, according to the census, we were the fastest growing county in the nation in the last census.
I thought I had heard something about that Watford City was just booming.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
And just trying to keep up with services and so forth. And that's probably the next part of our discussion. I mean, we're about to hit the bottom of the hour and we need to catch up with just a few things of news and so forth. But when we come back, Callie, I think we want to visit about the community and the fact that resources can get stretched thin. That includes for those who were there before and are coming in when we talk about rural health and especially our mental health. So stay tuned, folks. We are going to do that. We're visiting with Calli Thorne. Callie is in Watford City, North Dakota. And we definitely want to hear how things are going out there and the items that we all should be aware of. So we'll be right back.
As school days settle in and we embrace autumn, we switch gears for the days ahead. And in the center of it all, ready for all kinds of weather, is an all-wheel drive Subaru. Check out the new in-stock Subarus today, or claim one of Muscatel's Subaru's incoming models, and you can enjoy Subaru safety that much sooner. Muscatel Subaru, just off the interstate in Moorhead, or online at muscatelsubaru.com. Subaru, built to last.
Here in the Red River Valley, many things have changed over the past century, yet we continue to work hard, and hard work requires the right boots. At Red Wing Shoes, we create every boot by hand. We are a company rich in history, heritage, and pride, and we're committed to making shoes that fit the job. Boots that are strong and good looking, that provide comfort and stability. So no matter the size of your feet or the demand of your job, Red Wing Shoes have the boots for you. Stop in and see for yourself at 3003 Main Avenue in Fargo. Red Wing Shoes for ultimate durability.
Good afternoon, I'm Tom Tucker, WDAY News First. West Fargo voters have voted down a $147 million school bond referendum. The measure needed 60% approval to pass. The final tally was very close and turnout was extremely low. 1,926 people voted against the referendum, while 1,915 voted for it. West Fargo has a new city administrator. Dustin Scott had been serving as acting city administrator since March. He was selected for the job after a final round of interviews Tuesday. Scott is a West Fargo native who has worked for the city for 15 years. Department realignment continues at North Dakota State University as the university absorbs budget cuts. The provost's office is the latest to take a hit. Dozens of professors and students Tuesday protested the elimination of the position of Vice Provost for Faculty Affairs and Equity. The position was held by Dr. Kanan Bylan Green. We're told she will go back to teaching in the engineering department. And North Dakota Congressman Kelly Armstrong was accused by one radio listener of being in hiding as the country moves closer to a possible government shutdown.
I've been in D.C. for 12 days straight trying to negotiate a path forward. I just don't spend all my time on Twitter and Facebook, and I'm not going to do that.
Tom Tucker, WDAY, and WDAYRadioNow.com.
Attention all growers and ag retailers. Tired of losing the war against wild oats? It's time to bring in the big guns. Avedex and Fargo herbicides from Gowan USA. These Group 15 herbicides are your ticket to controlling Group 1 and Group 2 resistant wild oats and suppressing brome and ryegrass. Don't let these weeds invade your field. Take charge. Contact your local ag retailer today and get your hands on Avedex and Fargo. Go. Always read and follow label directions from Gowan USA.
The old barn on your farm is your family's legacy. The memories of generations are stored in one glance at the family barn. This is the true definition of generational wealth. Memories and legacy. Fargo Roofing and Siding specializes in barn roofs including round Quonsets. Whether metal or shingles, straight or curved, visit fargoroofing.com today to schedule your free estimate and start your barn revitalization.
Premium quality, premium service, Fargo values. Fargo Roofing and Siding.
Hi, this is John from North Star Plumbing and Drain Cleaning. We have a great special during the month of September and October. $100 off water heaters. The coupon is on the website. How old is your water heater? And we are checking those sub pumps for fall too. And another $100 off kitchen and bathroom remodels. People are scheduling now, so give us a call at 701-367-9592 or visit us online at northstarplumbingnd.com. That's North Star Plumbing and Drain Cleaning.
Weather and Ag in Focus on WDAY Radio.
Hello, all, and welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus here on WDAY. Really glad you're joining us. I'm Bridgette, Readel, Ag Director, with Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki and Meteorologist Extraordinaire Justin Storm. And above all, we are joined by our guest today, Calli Thorne. Calli is a rancher and a positive influence in her community out by Watford City, North Dakota. And so, Calli, let's talk a little bit about one of the ways that you and I have connected, and that has to do with the situation for mental health for rural folks. Where would you like to start with that perspective? Maybe with what your insights might be, etc.
Yeah, I think that's a good question. And it is a big topic that I think is finally getting talked about a little bit more, especially when it comes to agriculture. I mean, it's been brought to light in the national headlines, of course, the last couple of years, but especially in agriculture. And a lot of times I'm talking to groups about this topic, or I'm hosting classes and stuff, but I think we all know that it is so much higher, mental health issues and even the suicide rate in agriculture specifically. And often I can ask any audience I'm in front of or have the discussion, or I can look at the statistics, and it's often because of things like, the financial burden that people feel in this business. It's the markets, it's weather. A lot of times it's things that are uncontrollable. Sometimes I'm working with women in ag, and I will ask them, what is the biggest stressor or challenge you're facing right now? And often finances is up there, and right up there with that, though, is family dynamics, as in who's it going to transition onto. And all of these things play a role in mental health. And so I think overall, when you look at what we do, if you farm or ranch, it's impressive what we actually take on as a business owner and the things that play into it that we don't really second guess, because oftentimes it's a generational thing. It's like, I feel the pressure to take this on. And then the second thing is, I don't want to be the generation to lose this. And I know that affects so many people. The isolation too plays into it. There's so many things that affect those who are in agriculture.
I really think that what you said there about the stress level of I don't want to be the one to lose this generation of the farm is bigger than we might realize. People feel very much under the gun, so to speak, and maybe that's a terrible term, but they just have this concern that what if I'm the one who loses the farm? And have you visited with anybody who might be expressing that type of situation, Calli? Because I mean, I know I have, but I'm not sure if you've come across anybody saying the same thing.
For sure. And I think what's interesting is when and research shows this, if you bring it up to people, they are more often likely to talk to you about it, or if they don't feel comfortable doing that, they will possibly seek help, right? Sometimes that's actually a stigma where people think, well, I don't want to bring this up to them, that they might be struggling, or it looks like they're having a hard time. And research shows that they're more likely to seek that help. And so even just after I was down in Denver last week at the National Red Angus Conference speaking on mental health and agriculture, breaking the stigma to continue a legacy, and the number of people that come up to me afterwards and share their own stories about the struggles they have had or about what they're dealing with right now. Before we got on here, I actually was just emailed a list of testimonials, and it is eye-opening for me. It shouldn't be every time, but it is. The number of people that will say, like, I decided to call my wife because I realized she's been at home all week long with the kids. And it's these little things that if we would just notice them, and that's actually the mental health first aid training that I do. I'm not going to become a counselor or a psychologist or anything like that, but if I can notice these little things, which anybody is capable of doing, but actually speak up and say something, those can be life-changing for people on the other side.
Absolutely. And it's not just those of us who are in the farm, who are actually active on the farm. I think this translates over to folks who are bankers, the folks that sell equipment, and the grain merchandisers, because they see the stresses that are happening in the rest of us as well.
Exactly. Yep. Everybody's tied into it and can have a conversation if they're willing to.
So as you think about what can we do in our smaller communities to help provide some resources, Calli, to help others know that they're not alone, is there anything particular that stands out to you that you have tried to make sure to stress to others?
I think, what's funny is I do what I call mental health first aid training. And I will often ask people, how many of you have had first aid CPR? I bet 95% of people raise their hand in an audience. And I think about that and how I've actually never had to use it. Thankfully, I've taken it 3 times, but I've never had to use it except for maybe a kid who's bleeding on the ranch or something. But then I asked them, how many of you have ever had mental health first aid training? And the numbers are so low. And so the big thing is to educate yourself, learn more about it, help to break the stigma, because that is one of the biggest things that holds people back from seeking the help that they maybe need. But I go through, I maybe do a day-long training at some places on mental health first aid so people can become certified and become more knowledgeable about it. But at the end of the day, after everything we cover, the thing I often say to people is just go out there and be kind human beings, right? Speak up. If it looks like somebody is struggling or hurting, have a conversation, because I'll often hear people say, like, I didn't say something to that person and I could tell they were hurting, or they even maybe told me that they were, and I still didn't do anything about it. And so it's like, if we just went out there with our eyes wide open, a John Maxwell quote that I love, he said, walk slowly through the crowd. And I don't know about you guys, but I can sprint everywhere. Like I kind of jog through parking lots because I've got things to do and places to be. But I have learned if I slow down and walk slowly through the crowd, I've had some long conversations with people who are struggling because I notice them. And I ask them not just, how are you doing? And they say the typical, what, good. Instead, I say, how are you really doing? Right? Yeah.
Hey, Calli, are there any like telltale signs that where you know it just jumps out at you like, all right, this person definitely needs some help?
Yeah, we go through that in the class too, where it's sometimes just those basic things that we maybe don't think twice about. So maybe if you typically grab coffee with friends, or you have play dates and they just start not showing up, or they maybe seem more tired, or they seem less concerned about things, like it doesn't really matter. Whereas before they were always on top of those things. We use the word disheveled, like maybe we look put together some days, or they're kind of falling apart a little bit more, when typically, you know, you look for the things that are not typical for them, especially if you know them. The trick is if you see somebody at the grocery store or run into them at the Cenex downtown, right, and you don't know what their typically how they look or how they feel or how they behave, those are harder to pick up on. But there's still been times I've noticed people and said, like, are you okay? And you can do that with anybody.
I want to go back to earlier in the conversation. You had made a comment, you had stated that, you know, one of the big thing that's affecting people's mental health out there on the farms and ranches, you know, am I going to be the reason why this fails, or am I going to lose the farm, the ranch, the land, or whatever? And I wanted to know, because we all know how things have been the last 3 years. Everything's more expensive. It's harder to find things. You're waiting longer. You have to put more money in to get less money out. Over that last couple of years in that transition from all the inflation, how has that become more of a talking point where people are more afraid now than they have been in years past that I might lose this, or I might not be able to continue doing it?
I think it depends on who you talk to. And I run in a pretty good circle of people, which makes a difference, right? Like where your mindset is. And I do a lot of work with people, whether it's families or individuals or women and stuff, when it comes to mindset and perspective. And so, I mean, people can always find the hard, but I guess that's where I challenge people to put the same amount of energy towards the good things in life. I mean, I have a bad day too, just like anybody else. And I'll teach that. I'll work on that with my clients and say, life is 50-50. It is going to be 50% great and wonderful, and we get the rain and the crops are good and the markets are looking great. But you're also going to have that 50% of hard, where it is a struggle, it is a grind, it's challenging, there is loss. But if we don't learn how to handle those hard things, it's going to be a really long life, whether you're in agriculture or whatever you're involved with. And in fact, I was just at a recent mental health conference a few months ago, and I asked one of the top leaders in our state, who's a psychologist, I said, how do we bridge that gap? Like, what's the missing link? I do so much when it comes to leadership training and personal and professional development and growth and thinking bigger, but then we have this mental health challenge too. How do we bridge that gap? What's the challenge? And you know what she said? She said that people, including kids, don't know how to cope anymore. So when they are thrown these hard things in life, it's like goes down the drain, right? It's a challenge for us. We buffer, or we choose to do different things that maybe aren't the best choice for us, and then it can kind of go downhill if we don't grab a hold of those thoughts and think, okay, but what's good? What's working right for us? And I've got countless stories, even from our operation, where we've been in drought, and it's like, okay, instead of thinking, woe is me, this is hard, this is a challenge, which is true, I can also swing my thoughts the other way and think, where's the win? Where's the good? Where's the opportunity in this hard? Because not everybody's looking for that during that time.
Right. And what do you think is one of the reasons behind why people have forgotten or don't know how to cope as well as we have in past generations or even past years? What do you think has changed, or what's that reason why coping has become so difficult?
Isn't that a great question? I wish we had the answer. I mean, are you teaching your kids it? I would ask you that. I mean, are your kids doing hard things, and are they sometimes not doing that well at them? I think that's okay, because that is how they learn to cope with. I mean, I'll tell you guys, my daughter one time admitted to me that she didn't want to go out for track, and I finally got it out of her, and I said, why? Even though I made her do it. And I said, why didn't you want to go out for that? And she said, because I knew I wouldn't be the fastest. And so is that the generation we're trying to raise, where if you think you're not the best, or you don't do it perfectly or whatever, that a challenge is a bad thing? I mean, I constantly say to people, like, hard doesn't mean it's wrong, right? We can learn from that, or we can pivot or change things. And so I think, are we teaching people how to take on these challenges and how to grow from them if things aren't right?
And kind of flipping that to a sports analogy, Brock Purdy, who was the quarterback of the 49ers, the very last pick in the NFL draft, everybody passed up on him because they didn't think he was that good. And look at him now. He's one of the best quarterbacks that's playing out there.
I think things are handed to us quickly too, right? We're all learning that. Like, if I don't have it right away, if it doesn't come to us, like if there's a little bit of struggle, then we'll sometimes even use that against us. Like, well, maybe it wasn't meant to be, or wasn't for me. And it's like, that's life. Like, if you want this bad enough and you feel like you're called to it, then let's do the work. And I think I shared a quote just the other day, was it from Thomas Edison? Like, sometimes opportunities are missed because they come dressed in, mud boots and coveralls. Like, it's called work.
Yeah, you gotta work hard. And the more of it, a lot of people just don't necessarily want to do anymore. Yeah. I mean, the work ethic is getting worse. And I taught at the university for a few years as a teaching assistant while I was in undergrad. So I ran my own room for a couple of years over there, and I was blown away with just how many requests, or I don't know what it would be, people asking me to do things for them. And I'm referring to my students at the time. I'm like, it's on the website. All you got to do is go there and click on a button. Why are you asking me to get it for you? Go find it yourself. Go do the work. And I was just blown away with how often that happened. And with all the other people too that I used to TA with over the years, it's the same thing. Just nobody wants to do it themselves. They want someone to hand it to them.
A really good book, just an FYI, is called Comfort Crisis. And that reminds me a lot of that story, because it's like, it talks about how we are in air-conditioned buildings. We're in air-conditioned tractors now, and then we get in our air-conditioned vehicle, we drive to the grocery store, all the food that we want is there. And it's like, comfort crisis is what is happening. And so it's a fantastic story about this guy who was getting himself in a bind with alcohol, and knew things needed to change, and he went out on a hunt in Alaska, and it's pretty cool to hear.
Sounds like a
so Calli, what you've helped remind us of is the fact that not everything that is good in life is going to come easy. We'll have some work for it, and it's okay to struggle with that, but still push forward. So,
exactly. Yes.
So Calli, we've had a good visit, but if folks want to ask you other questions or reach out, or maybe they're interested in having you come out as a speaker somewhere, how would you like them to contact you? What's your reach out information?
I think I could give lots of info, but I think the easiest is probably if they just go to my website, because they can fill out a form there where they can email me. Of course, you can find me on Instagram, Facebook. Those are probably the main two places. LinkedIn, just search my name. But my website is just callithorne.com. And I always say there's no E on Calli. add the E to Thorne. So Calli, and then Thorne, Thorne, CalliThorne.com, and we can definitely connect one way or another about some options. And I've worked with communities, whether it's local chambers or private businesses who want their employees trained on mental health first aid, or if you're looking for a speaker, I've done a lot on communication topics, mindset, leadership in agriculture, and of course, mental health first aid.
Awesome.
Thank you, Calli.
Yeah,
Much
thank you very
appreciated for you
much.
joining us and just giving some insight to what's going on in the cattle industry and Western North Dakota. And please enjoy your weekend with North Dakota Stockmen's Association's annual meeting in Watford City.
I will. Thank you guys so much for having me on.
Thanks,
No problem.
Kelly.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to catch up with some news, and we will be right back, folks.
Redemption Road provides housing and transition services for those exiting the criminal justice system or treatment. Join them November 3rd for their 6th annual Fall Gala. This year, they're welcoming guest speaker Eddie McLaughlin, who currently works for Prison Fellowship. Eddie was just 20 when he found himself on death row. There will be a dinner, raffles, and other great surprises. Get your tickets by finding Redemption Road Ministries on social media or on their website, redemptionroadministries.org, under the Events tab.
It's Jay and Ronnie from the Coffee Club, and we enjoy drinking coffee because it keeps us energized and focused.
Well, let's be frank. I enjoy drinking coffee because coffee keeps me wide-eyed in the morning, but I'll tell you this type of coffee is organic, specialty-grade coffee, beans selected from the top 2% available, 100% Arabica bean coffee, certified organic, non-GMO, low acidity, rich, smooth, and ready to drink.
The finish is clean and it has a pleasant aftertaste. It's delicious. It's so far the best coffee that we've had. It's also roasted and packed in the US of A. We love it and we guarantee you will too. All you need to do is go to mystore.com, click on My Coffee, and enter the promo code WDAY.
That's promo code WDAY to get your own My Coffee.
It's also roasted and packed in the US of A. We love it and we guarantee you will too. Go to mystore.com, promo code WDAY.
I'm Jimmy Uland, and I farm close to Prosper, North Dakota. I've been with Peterson Farm Seed for probably 20 years. I use soybeans and corn, and I guess I have wheat too, so you can be assured that when they recommend a product for your field that it's going to be the right one because they do so much in-field research. What matters to farmers more than anything is yield. With the research that they do in this area, they do have the right products for the right soil type or environment. Usually their yields are right at the top.
That was Jim Uland with his views on Peterson Farm Seeds.
Pucklet Chevrolet GMC believes you deserve a reliable pre-owned vehicle that fits your needs and budget. Car Bravo at Pucklet Chevrolet GMC gives you an expansive inventory of Car Bravo certified GM and non-GM used vehicles. Confidence and peace of mind come standard as every Car Bravo certified vehicle includes a 126-point inspection and a 6-month or 6,000-mile warranty. Choice, confidence, peace of mind. Feel the used euphoria at PuckletValleyCity.com, North Dakota's Car Bravo headquarters.
The mission of Olivet Lutheran Church in Fargo is to tell the story of Jesus' love for all people without exception. Worship with us Sunday mornings at 8:30 at our traditional service, 10:30 at our contemporary service, or Wednesday evenings at 6 with a dinner before. We offer Sunday and Wednesday school for children pre-K through 5th grade and confirmation for students in grades 6 through 10. For more information, go to olivet.org. Encounter Jesus, experience grace at Olivet Lutheran Church.
With Jiffy Lube Multicare, it's our job to make car care make sense. With personalized service reviews that swap the car talk for straight talk, so you know what your car is telling you and what to do about it. Where highly trained service technicians have your back, helping you take care of the small stuff before it becomes big stuff. Plus a full range of services from Pennzoil oil changes to tires, brakes, batteries, and more. We've got what your car needs, so you're ready for whatever's next. Putting you in the driver's seat of car care, that's a job for Jiffy.
Jiffy Lube, 1780 South Columbia Road, Grand Forks.
Hey, Ronnie.
Yes.
Do you have your bags packed?
I do. I'm all ready to go to Milner.
We're going to Minot.
What's in Minot?
The Norse Hoos Fest. Thursday, September 28th and Friday, September 29th for all the fun and festivities. We're going to be there live doing our show.
Bring your campers, drive your motorhomes. Come join us for great food, side stage entertainment, and big shows.
It's a great festival and we get to join the fun. The Coffee Club live at Norse Hoos Fest. Find out more at hoosfest.com. We're hitting the road.
Where's my Viking helmet?
This is Weather and Ag in Focus with Bridgette Readel, Justin Storm, and Dean Wysocki.
And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. 1:54 in the afternoon. Temperature 85 degrees. No.
Holy moly, it just jumped up a lot of degrees. How many degrees was that?
We were at 69.
Oh, no. It's 21.
We're still at 69. So, not a bad afternoon out there. A lot of clouds. We'll see a few breaks of sun from time to time, especially later this afternoon. But, yeah, mainly cloudy for the rest of the day. Dry day today. Tomorrow's a dry day, but windy. And, again, talking with Jim when we were out on the farm the other day, he said, yeah, we could use a good windy day with some sunshine to dry things up. But then I said, well, that's fine, but more rain follows on Friday, unfortunately.
More water.
So, but the weekend looks dry, and it should be some pretty decent weather.
A little breezy over the weekend, too. Not too bad, but,
80 degrees, we'll take the
help
wind.
Dry things out.
Yeah. Yep.
And being on the field this morning, being in the sugar beet field, it's a little tacky out there.
Yeah.
There's some mud
my
on my
garden
boots.
was a little tacky. I was cutting the stalks of corn out, drying them down for fall around the house decor.
So, Bridgette, we're playing Where's Bridgette?
Yes.
So, can you give us a hint, and we will try to guess?
I am in Trail County. I'm in North Dakota.
Okay.
Dean, what county is Trail?
It's Trail. What?
Justin drives by this every time he goes to the studio.
Well, I can see a building in your...
Looks like a university
There's a
building.
courthouse.
Oh, it's a courthouse
No,
building?
there's a courthouse behind me.
Okay.
Courthouse.
I guess I'm sure people are screaming at their radios or if they're watching on the live stream. I'm in Hillsboro.
I was
Hillsboro, North
just
Dakota
going to
right now.
guess, Hillsboro.
Yes. And so it's been a good day. Lots of things going on. It's not like we're combining corn or soybeans, but we are getting the kinks worked out, so to speak, before sugar beet harvest gets started.
You said you had an out-of-town guest that was with you, kind of road tripping it with you.
Is she in the passenger seat right now?
Nope, she is with another team of agronomists. They're inside the Goose River Brewing Company right now.
Oh, so you probably want to get out of here, don't you?
If you want to cut out early, you can.
Maybe I was late coming to the show.
Maybe. So, what was her 2 cents on that's first time she's seen sugar beets?
So this is a friend from Iowa. She has never been to North Dakota before. She
Okay.
grew up in the Des Moines area.
Mm-hmm.
She is not familiar with most farming practices that we do these days. And sugar beets was entirely new. So we saw everything from they had the toppers out, they were lifting the beets out of the ground. We saw some repair work being done because the conveyors and so forth and the belts were being spliced. There's a lot of work there, and trucks being hauling beets out to the plant. So she got to experience quite a lot.
She was just up here to meet you, or what brought her up
to meet me and
Nodak?
Yep, to meet me, to tour. Hopefully this afternoon we get a chance to go check on some cattle in the neighborhood because still time to catch all the farming things that we can. So why not?
Right on. And ag topic time. We'll do a short one, I suppose. It's just, is John Deere Property Center, is there enough time to do that and we can save the Steiger for tomorrow? Or
we can. So the deal with John Deere Property Center, this is a mobile-friendly, web-based tool that customers can track and maintain their equipment by parts, learn how to do some key things around the yard. So, for instance, if you're not a large-scale farmer, maybe you have some smaller tractors or you're running a lawn and garden business and you want to know where all of your equipment is, you can use this John Deere Property Center to do that. And even as much as maybe there's a project you're unfamiliar with, like graveling your driveway or building a fence, you can use this Property Center for how-to videos to figure out how to get those things done around your place.
Hey, right on. Thanks, B. Well, you can go run on over there into the Brewfest, enjoy yourself a private tour. Me and Dean will find something to do for the rest of the day. That's going to wrap it up.
I think Bridgette's going to have more fun than we are.
You know what? I'll just meet you in Hillsboro. We're just a short half hour away, so we'll see you soon. Everyone else, the Jay Thomas Show's coming up next.
Boost
Boost your crop's health with Domark 230 ME and Badge SC fungicide exclusively from Gowan, USA. Domark's systematic action teams up with Badge's outstanding mixing properties for unbeaten disease control on sugar beets, dried edible beans, and canola. Experience the power of two different modes of action with Domark